Protective Services report.
I'll make the motion.
Sorry, public delegations. I apologize. It took so. Are you here? You're good.
I couldn't pick these up on, when did I pick them up, Friday? Or Monday?
Monday, I think.
Yeah, I'm good.
You're good? Okay. Do I have a motion for the Protective Services report? Councillor Gilroy.
Okay, I'll try it again. I'll move the council receive the senior peace officers' April and May 2017 reports for information.
Evening, Council.
Councillor Bloom.
Hey. So,
You gonna go over some highlights, or do you want just questions?
we can start with questions, and I can highlight as we go.
I had a couple questions asked me the other day to ask you, and both have to do with Evergreen Street.
Yep.
Okay. Is there any arrangement between, or a cooperative arrangement between the policing for RCMP and the peace officer to patrol that particular area? Because there have been some. I was told by about 3 or 4 people actually that they're concerned about some of the safety issues on that street. Some theft, and some with the children's being out too. They're a little concerned about the speed as well that people are driving down there, that road. So they're wondering if there's going to be some sort of coordinated patrol in that area, and or if you could deal with a speed, maybe a sleeping policeman for a little while, to slow down the traffic a little. Sorry, where I'm from, they're called sleeping policemen. Where you've come, okay, a speed bump.
There's nothing. There's nothing that I've been directed to do other than we've been putting up the speed sign at the one end there, by one of the seniors complex there. No, it's not up now, but we've had it up there. But I think my one suggestion would be if we reduced it to a playground zone, that would reduce the speed to 30 kilometers an hour from 8:30 in the morning to dusk. That's one option.
That entire street, you're talking like Evergreen Drive?
Yeah.
Like from elementary to
48th Street.
40.
I think especially when the tennis courts is where they're saying it's about housing people.
The other question I had to do with how are things going with O'Brien, with the O'Brien Street, is it?
For
O'Brien Crescent, with the children challenging the cars on that street.
we make our regular patrols there. We've yet to have any children like play dodgeball with vehicles. I haven't seen it myself, but not to say it hasn't happened, but we do our regular patrols there. And it might, with school coming to an end here, it might pick up, so we'll do some more active patrols there.
The reason I was talking about the coordination is when our RCMP officer was here, he was talking about some of the RCMP officers also will be part of a bike patrol, and that's why I was wondering if the visual presence of the RCMP with your patrols would work somehow together to,
That's a good idea. We can coordinate that. I haven't talked to any of the members. I think there's only one that's trained
To ride a bike?
that I'm aware of. With the RCMP, you have to have your qualified training before you can.
Well, I know it's something special they want to do.
Yeah. No,
Sergeant Cameron wanted to do that. So.
we'd definitely be participating if that ever.
Any other questions? Councillor Panasic.
I think all of our council's been talked to by In the Woods Animal Rescue. And one of their suggestions was to implement a cat bylaw similar to a dog bylaw. When I was reading our animal bylaw, it doesn't specify that it's for dogs. It just says your
Domestic animal, yeah.
domestic animals. So in essence, we have a bylaw there.
That's correct, yes.
Okay, so we could enforce a bylaw.
That, yes, we can.
Okay.
That's
And I
definitely.
just wanted your thoughts on the headaches.
The main,
You know the concerns
yes,
as well.
oh, definitely, yeah, I know the concerns. The main headache would be to ownership. Like we can trap them and take them to a rescue, but if it comes to any enforcement or imposing any fines, the ownership has to be more or less concrete, or it won't go anywhere. They can just say, it's a feral cat, it's been under my trailer or under my deck for the last, how long, it's not my cat type thing, but. And I don't think there's maybe one or two that do license their cats. But that's.
And those won't get out.
Probably not. They're an inside cat. They're probably declawed or whatever, just, yeah.
Okay.
So there is challenges, but saying that, we can still promote the fact that we do have live traps to the community, which most people know. And that's how we try to control it. But
Yeah, well, if we were going to enforce that bylaw on registering your cat, we would have to have a huge advertising campaign ahead of time and let people know, because we haven't been enforcing that.
right, no, yeah,
And it's not known to the town, even though the bylaw technically is there, we're not enforcing it. And if we were going to,
yeah,
yeah. It was just one of those options I wanted to,
okay,
because there's some other ones out there, but that's one of them.
great, okay.
I had another question, and in your report you said for April you had banned 2 individuals for drunk and disorderly. You banned them from where?
In April, we had the group, they always congregated at the Sports Palace to keep warm, to get warm. But they overstayed their welcome. They decided they want, that's a good place to drink and pass out. So 2 of them didn't get the message, so end result was we banned them. And that includes all town property. If we ban them from one place, it's all town property.
Okay. And the other question, I just noticed that in April you said you signed another year renewal with Animal Woods Rescue. It took 4 hours. And then in May you signed an agreement with Animal Woods in the rescue, and it took 4 hours.
Oh,
Is that just you didn't delete one of those,
That's-
or is this an ongoing time?
well, this particular agreement was going back and forth a bit. We had some discussion. And then, no, I should have updated it, but it's something I just, an oversight. But it took a little bit longer than I anticipated for it to be signed. So, yeah, it did take a little bit longer. And it was in both, it continued into the next month too. So. But I should have updated it, but I didn't. I should have, yeah.
Was that because of the issues with the cats? Because it sounds like it's a big financial concern for them, right? That they'd say the majority of the cats that they get are from, well, they say Big Lakes County. So it's
It
hard
might
to
have-
determine where the cats are coming from. But they say that they're being told to drop, that we're giving advice, that the town of High Prairie bylaw enforcement officers are giving advice to drop cats off there. Is that what, no?
If anybody takes a live trap, that's what we tell them.
Is it really that many that you're like this abundant user?
Not the, no.
Where's their actual building, or where they keeping these animals?
Near Napa.
It's
Near Napa?
Mary Rain.
So we drive from here with a cat to Mary Rain?
We don't.
We don't.
Oh.
If we do take control of a cat, we call one of their volunteers, and they'll come here.
Pick it up here?
They will. As for the dogs,
Yeah.
or we make arrangements with the county bylaw or the dog animal control officer there. If she's going, and if we happen to have one, she'll take ours with her.
Okay.
Just to add to the animal control portion, we, out of the 50-some tickets we issued for non-licensed dogs, 9 tickets were issued provincially, meaning the 9 didn't bother coming in and paying or doing anything with their license of the dogs. Out of the 9, 5 are going to trial. So I don't know why, but that's their rights. Okay. In April, we were asked to give a presentation to a grade 2 class at the St. Andrews School. We went over bike safety, skateboard, and quads, and the importance of safety equipment. So we're trying to get the message out there with the safety. Yeah.
I noticed a lot of kids wearing helmets in the skate park.
Yes, I was there I think it was yesterday or the day before, and I'm pretty sure just about everybody there using it had a helmet on.
And tons of kids using the
Yeah.
facility, which is awesome, yeah.
We're getting into the unsightly season, so we're pretty active with that. Not sure what, any more questions?
Councillor Gilbert?
I was noticing your to-do list, and that reminded me that you were going to check with Alberta Transportation about the one stoplight crosswalk at the elementary school, High Prairie Elementary.
Mhm.
The one that was just a button you couldn't press, so the
Yeah.
kids have to actually walk across without waiting for the hand signal to show them they can cross. Any status on that?
They said they were going to look into it. I'll follow up, obviously, and see. I've noticed the change here a bit on 53rd and 48th. It's, and the one down, it changes more frequently, I guess. I'm not sure what they did or how they determined to change it, but there's a few people not too happy. But, you know, it gives the north-south traffic a little less of a wait, so to speak, because it was taking more time going north and south than it was east and west. So, but I think it's changed a bit.
Alan, are you talking about adjusting the timing on the streetlights that
Yeah.
I'd asked you to
Yes.
inquire about?
Yeah.
So they've gone ahead and changed it? Did they ask for any feedback on what was needed?
No.
Well, that was, I guess part of my concern was as you show up at 1 in the morning
Yeah.
and you've got a one-way light going and there's no traffic and you're sitting there. So that's the issue that
No, and
bothers me
that's
more.
how I explained it to him when I told him that we were getting concerns, and they've They've seemed to have improved a bit, but I don't know.
Well, it's not improved.
No? It hasn't? Okay,
From my
well,
perspective, and, you know, you
I-
come back and there's nobody around and you gotta wait where there's, you know, there's no turning traffic, it's not a problem. Just to turn on that turning lane if that's a problem, or not even have that extra lane, cause you don't see a lineup of traffic at that light,
Yeah.
but you go to this one and there's always a lot more traffic waiting there.
and then his one comment was that when they're doing their Highway 2 improvements, then they would be changing from this pavement sensors, like they're embedded in the pavement,
You know, like,
to the lights.
Overhead
Yeah.
ones.
that'd be better.
That's what he said, it might take a while until they do their improvements, but it would happen this year, he said.
So do we have to send them a letter if we want to see things changed? Is that what we should be asking for? Because if they made a change, it's not at all what we wanted.
Yeah.
So how do we get the change that we want?
It might be a better result if we did that, rather than me just talking to him over the phone or sending him an email. It might be good.
Could that come under your committee?
The Traffic Coalition Committee?
Safety on safety committee.
Actually, yeah, because they sit on that committee too, when they show up. But,
They get stopped at the lights.
yeah,
I actually know that there's been 2 letters sent to Alberta Transportation by the previous CAO, so I happened to find the copy and I was doing some filing. And so there has been letters sent to them already about that, like,
As specifically, what were they talking about?
almost identical to what you had said a couple meetings ago. I can get a copy of that letter, find it again, and give it to Brian.
I'll give it to Alan first.
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah, maybe we should just do a follow-up with what's already been done.
okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Alan? Alan, do you have anything else you want to draw to our attention?
Back the Traffic Coalition, Mayor Cox, we were talking about the Vision Zero thing. We're going to be having a meeting in September with that person from Edmonton, and he's going to be showing us our next steps on how to get the program going in our community. So we're working towards that.
What is that, Alan?
It's a program that is started by the government to address safety issues within the communities, like traffic, safer pedestrians, a whole bunch of stuff. And it's we can apply for grants to
Promote safety.
yeah. So we have to more or less draw up a strategic plan as to what we want to start with, and as far as safety is in the community. So we're going to work towards that.
Do you have to have a plan drawn up for September, or is that just?
Well, that's when
just
we're going to start with it.
on
Yeah. And the coalition has. I'm not sure if anybody's gone to the movie theaters lately.
Having the, or,
We have our
like, commercial.
ads going through there now. I have yet to see, I haven't gone yet, seen it myself, but I've been told that they're fairly effective in impacting the, so. Other than that,
Everybody's good? Yes.
okay, thank you.
Thank you very much for your report.
Thanks, Al.
And if we have no more questions, we'll vote on his report. You made a motion, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So all in favor of accepting his report for information? Mr. Walker. Can I get a motion for Public Works report? Councillor Gill?
I'm just trying to make up some time here. But yes, I'll move the council receive the June 2017 Public Works Report as presented for information.
Welcome, Mr. Walker.
Thank you, Council.
Do you have anything to report to us, or would you just like us to attack you with questions?
Just give her. Attack me all you want. No, we'll just kind of address and inform the rest of council and what happened on June the 10th with the pressure loss. What happened was there was a pipe that came apart within the Evergreen Reservoir. So we ended up isolating that reservoir and run just from the plant. The next 3 days were spent dechlorinating the water because you can't pump chlorinated water into a ecosystem. So we dechlorinated the water, pumped out the reservoir, fixed the pipe, refilled, chlorinated the reservoir, and we're the Wednesday, about 3 o'clock, the 14th of June, we were back online. That being said, we are getting estimates to look at redoing the entire piping within the building and the pumping systems. The electrical has been upgraded. It was built in 1980, so we're looking almost 40 years old.
Was that already sort of on the horizon for?
Yep. Just going to be a little earlier. With the repairs we did, I think that we'll be okay for this year. I was getting a little panicky about this year, but I think we'll be okay if we can tackle it in this like winter months, of course, because we need that storage in the summertime of 2018. We also did our annual CSR flushing for the county, which brings us in, after expenses, will bring us in about $15,000 in revenue, which is supposed to go towards the replacement of the vac truck. Remember?
That's just your public acknowledgement of that.
Terry can't just put that into general revenue. She likes
That's on
that.
tape, no?
Worked with the Elks and we're getting the road closure that's coming before council tonight. And I'll entertain any questions.
Anybody have questions for Mr. Walker? Oh, look at this, an easy crew.
I'm just so good.
Hey, you are so good. I just have one question, which I'm sure I'll pass through Mr. Martinson, but we may need a little assistance with getting some things ready on Friday afternoon, if you can draw anybody.
You will
away.
have to pass them on through Mr.
Yeah,
Martinson,
just
as I will be away.
You'll be away. Okay.
My daughter graduates, so
Oh, that's
I
right,
have
it's
to be gone.
graduation, yeah.
Not here, but yeah.
It is graduation. It is graduation day here too, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
And just monitoring, the lift station 2 projects are complete, and we're just monitoring them for warranty work and defects and those sorts of things.
Actually, I would be remiss if I didn't repeat it again, because you have it in your report, where it says they assisted the paving company with the paving of Max parking lot.
Yep.
I appreciate that, and so do many cars in this community that we finally, did they find any cars hit in those potholes?
But they found my tie rod end.
But in that case, I love the fact that that your people are willing to work with any business that would like to repave and get rid of some more potholes to make our town look even better.
In that instance, we were just protecting our infrastructure is what we were doing, so, yeah.
But everybody's happy with the end result.
Yes, everybody's happy with the end result.
Any other questions? Thank you very much, Mr. Walker. Okay. All in favor of receiving his report for information? Carried. Okay, could I get a motion for the regular meeting minutes? Councillor Corley.
The council approve the minutes from the June 13th, 2017 regular meeting of council as presented.
Any errors, omissions, comments? All those in favor? Finance, tax relief request. Can I get a motion? Councillor Vlasic.
I make a motion that council authorizes a tax grant in the amount of $18,884.88 to be waived for the High Prairie Seed Cleaning Co-op tax account, roll number 405342.
Comments? Anybody have any questions on this? This is pretty well our standard every year, gotta do it, oh.
Only for another year?
It says right here, 2018 it ends.
Well, next year.
Okay.
The agreement ends December 31st of 2018, so we have one more
year
tax
of-
season.
Okay.
I think I wrote him a letter stating that they should start saving
Save some money.
for taxes.
In case they forgot what it's like to have to pay them.
Plant some money seeds.
Budgeting accordingly, so.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, if there's no questions, all those in favor? Carried. Tax relief request 5A2, do I have a motion?
I gave everybody one.
Councillor Gilroy.
The council approved Mr. Berdolin's request for tax relief on the portion of his 2016 taxes applicable from when the house burned down until, I was going to say July 20th when construction started again. So July 20th, 2016. I believe that's a standard in most municipalities. So, yeah.
Anybody want to talk to this? Councillor Panasic.
I'm just wondering if anybody can tell me if this is normal or a usual process.
I can answer that. When there's a fire for a property, any property owner can ask for tax relief. In this case, this is not for this year's taxes, it is for last year's taxes. Because when he was done his assessment at the end of December of 2015, it applied to the 2016 tax roll, not knowing that the building was going to burn down partway through the year, and it was partially based on income of that unit. Now, standard procedure, whenever a place burns down, he could have approached us last year in September, October, November, whatever, to ask for this. Asking for it now still isn't going to be that much of an issue because it's not a large amount. If it had been a large amount, then it would have been more imperative that it had been applied for in the fall of that year. It is fairly standard to do so and to give a tax reduction from the time the building burns down until construction starts. On some rare occasions, some councils will give them the extension up to when the revenue starts again, but that is very rare. But from the time the construction starts, from when it burnt, that is fairly standard.
So according to his letter, it burnt in March 19th of 2016, and construction started in July 20th of 2016. So that's April, May, June, 4 months in there, and he's asking for the year.
He's asking for the year, correct, but like I said, the council has the opportunity, they can give them the 4 months, they can give them 0 months, they can give them up to the full amount of the 2016, that is council's decision. But I'm just saying that standard procedure is to give from the time the thing burns down till the new construction starts. That is standard, but it's totally up to council what they decide to do.
What's the amount?
It's not nowhere on the information.
It's nowhere on the
I
information.
apologize. I guess I assumed it was going to be in his letter. I can look it up for you. I know it wasn't that much. It was less than a few $1,000s type of thing. It wasn't a huge amount.
So just for clarity though, so when we have a brand new construction from a developer, once he applies for the building permit, he's paying partial taxes all the way through, right? From that date, like a brand new construction, we get at partial tax?
No.
Oh, we have a tax relief.
We don't, that only happens for communities that have what they call a supplementary tax. And that means they do a separate tax season in September for any construction that happened during the year already. Right now, the way it works for us, anything that gets constructed for this year in 2017 does not get taxed until 2018. So we're always a year behind.
So the motion is did you actually, do you want Nancy to read it back or do you remember?
No, I said that council approved Mr. Berdolin's request for tax relief on the portion of his 2016 taxes, which would be the municipal portion.
Yeah.
Brian? Municipal portion of his taxes, applicable from when the house burned down until July 20th, 2016, when construction started.
That's what you made the motion of. And you're saying that that's a typical
That part's fairly standard. Whenever something burns down, people do have that
Wait,
opportunity.
asking for longer.
It's not their fault. As arson is proved, I suppose, but most municipalities will give them a bit of a tax break. Especially in this case, it's revenue property. It wasn't something he was living in. But if it's your own residential property, even then, some councils can give that rebate if it's burnt down. But that's again up to each individual council.
I'm just thinking out loud again on this one. He's asking for the 9-month period, so till the end of the year, because that property was not occupied until later in the year, so there was no opportunity to have any rental income from it, right? So should we look at it for a longer time frame from that perspective?
That is totally up to council.
And I guess that's where I was asking, so if a brand new construction was started tomorrow and it was completed a year down the road, we wouldn't be receiving those taxes for a year down the road on that brand new construction. So should we be treating that more like his request is asking and more like a brand new construction?
You've got to look at it both ways. The building, this is for last year's taxes. If he had applied for it, let's say in October, November, it would only have been for the 2016 year. We're not talking about the 2017 year here. We're just talking about the 2016 year. And like I said, there is the option for council to decide on the 4 months or the 9 months. I would definitely recommend at least the 4 months. That's my suggestion. But council can say 0 too.
So Council's not saying 0 right now.
Anybody have any other comments?
One of the things that council needs to keep in mind, like I said, in this case, it's not a significant amount, so it won't affect us too much. But normally when it's applied for in the fall, we already know what the loss will be on our revenue for that year, and then it'll come for the following year, we'll know that we're operating at a deficit, and it gets spread out to all the other residents. We'd have each had to pay $1 extra this year, something like that. But in this case, the year end is closed for last year. We didn't put it on this year's taxes because he's applying now, not last
So you're
fall.
worried about precedent, basically, because it's a larger amount. If it was a larger amount, and
If it
he
was a
hadn't
larger
applied,
amount, it would be much more significant.
so then he would be almost late for us to be able to
Correct.
budget that properly.
Yeah, but for a small amount like this, it wouldn't really matter either way.
Just my thoughts. I'm in favor of the 9 months. He's had a house burned down and getting it built back up again. That's just my thinking. So.
Councillor Courtney.
I agree with Brian. I'm on the 9-month path too. Just like a new build. That's where I'm thinking.
Councillor Gilroy, any chance you want to look at amending that to the 9 months, or you want us to vote on this 4-month motion?
If it's the wish of the council for me to change it to the 9 months, which still, it doesn't go into all the way to when the person was finally, or the residence was finally occupied, I will acquiesce to the council's wishes if they want to make it 9 months.
I would
Does that take it to December 31st, 2016? That would be the date, right?
I would support an amendment.
Okay. Then
As it's the majority of the council here, I'll acquiesce and I'll change mine to the December 31st deadline.
All those in favor? Carried. Financial report. 5A3. Do I have a motion?
Motion that we receive the financial report for May 2017 as presented for information.
Carried. Do you want to take the floor? Do you want just questions?
Do you have this up?
I don't have a report. I don't have a report. I didn't print one.
Do you want one?
Oh, I just looked.
That's all an update. If you want that.
Well, this is the summary.
Okay, summary.
That's all I have.
why don't we,
I didn't.
Anybody have any questions for Terry? Terry, is there anything you'd like to bring to our attention?
Just looking to send an extra copy to that.
I have some. I have one.
We should minimally get.
The only thing that I wanted to comment on was, of course, on the first page, you'll see that the taxes that were budgeted for and the taxes we got were pretty well right on line. It'll change a little bit, like I said, depending on the appeals and the adjustments we get, but we're right on track. And the last page, where it shows that right now, again, our budget and our actual is pretty darn close, because if you take the 200,000 variance minus the 149 in water and sewer, that's always a month behind in billing, we're only about $50,000 difference halfway through the year almost, so we're doing pretty good so far. Because if you recall, I made sure that this year when I put the budget into the system, that I made sure that I put the amounts in as we were getting them. So for example, if we got the bills for insurance in January, I put all of it in January. I didn't spread it out over 12 months. And I did that with almost all the revenues and the expenses. And so it's a much closer picture, and it's working out
Awesome.
like I had hoped.
Anybody have any questions for Terry? Councillor
How are
Courtney.
we doing on the carbon tax setup so far?
I was in contact with the lady from Edmonton, and she never got back to me and responded to me, but it looks like we are accumulating about 40,000 in revenue from the utility bills a month, and that has to be remitted to the province because we're not paying hardly anything. What I didn't realize was the fact that what we're paying Alberta AltaGas, that federation, we do not pay them the carbon tax. It is downloaded just from the last person down the line that charges the customer. So it is not like the GST where what we pay and what we think, it's almost like a wash. There's a little bit that comes in. It's not like that at all. So all of that money is being collected and being sent to the province. So there'll be a couple of big checks to write pretty shortly here.
And where is that showing in our budget?
It isn't at the present time because the accounts have not been, let's see, it's in, trying to remember, it's in the balance sheet, not in the income statement, right? So there's an in and an out there in the 3,000 and 4,000 accounts. This is the ones and the twos for the revenue and the expenses. So it's in the balance sheet, not in the income statement.
Any other questions? You good with that, Councillor Courtney?
I am.
Oh. Do you have anything else that you would want to
Nope,
bring to our attention?
just those two things. Like I said, so I think things are shaping up okay so far, and if we continue on that track, we'll be.
I wonder if we could get like a balance sheet, just attach like the one page to the, like, instead of having, because this is a very large report for you to have to, I mean, we can look at it via email, but like, is there not just a summary sheet that we can have on the agenda? Why do I not have it?
It came as a separate one today.
Oh.
On Monday, I emailed it to all council Monday morning by about.
But it's not here on the.
No.
Yeah, no, I got an email. I just thought it would be a copy of it here. Like I didn't print out. Like this was just in my box.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's okay. I'll just remember to try to print. I don't have the ability to print it always.
Okay.
So
No.
then I have to come in and.
Yeah, I don't.
Anybody that asks for a copy, Nancy or I will make sure
You know
to
what,
put it
even
in your
just if
box.
it's going to be over after, like it would be handy just to print it and stick it in our boxes because then if you read it, great. But then you come in here and then I can reference.
Like
it
I said,
yeah.
councillors that ask for it, we'll print it off for them and put it in their box, no problem. But I didn't get any requests, so I didn't.
There's no more questions? Oh, that's good.
I know we had talked about it before, and I was looking at page 3 to find out what we'd spent.
I have a full spreadsheet that's almost 90% done that has 2014, 15, 16, and 17, all the details for you,
for the
for all the
grants and
GL accounts that are donations. And I was
Okay.
working on it, and it's 90% complete. I can send it to you in the next couple days, no problem.
I was just going to ask that if just the simple one would have been good for me on this.
Yeah, no,
But
I
now
got
I'm
a
just like-
complete spreadsheet, and what I'll do is I'll
Okay.
give it to you guys, and then I'll just update the 2017 sheet out every time.
Yeah, we could probably bring it every time we have a
Yes.
request.
Okay, if there's nothing further, all those in favor? Accepting her report for information? Carried. Thank you very much, Terry. Rodeo Parade Road Closure, motion, Councillor Gilroy.
Okay, I'll move that council approve the road closure of Highway 2 for the High Prairie Elks Rodeo from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. on Tuesday, August 1st, 2017.
Any comments, concerns? Mr. CAO, you're good with the way it is?
Is that the only road? I thought they use more than one road. Do we have to worry about any of the other ones?
Well, this one here, 749 is also closed.
Mr.
For
Walker.
a portion, but they have the body pass.
Yeah.
That's why we have to give them an alternate route. For anybody that wants to go through.
And all other streets are the streets of the town anyway, so.
We're worried about that.
Yeah, we worry about that, yeah.
Shouldn't that be included in the motion that we're closing the parade route as outlined, just so that you know? Because right now, it's
That's what-
just saying the closure of Highway 2.
The only one we really need permission for, other than what council is decided by the town of High Prairie, is the provincial jurisdiction, and that's what they're asking for our support in this, to get the permission from transportation. Yeah.
But did they come to us and ask for permission to close town roads?
Nope.
No, we've just
They
always done it.
We've always just done. Okay, that's why I'm thinking.
And then the parade route is advertised on the website and in the paper right now.
Okay.
All those in favor? CAO's report. Have a motion. Councillor Panassi.
Okay, I move that council receive the CAO's written report and action list for information.
Mr. Martinson,
That would be up to the Elks. The Elks is gonna support
frantically
us.
writing.
So I don't know what this is what they submitted.
Actually, I attended a 3-day course last week in Cranberry regarding the upcoming election and changes to the Municipal Government Act. And
They're not gonna, I don't think they're
basic,
gonna change it to.
the training regarding the returning officers training was basically overview and touched on a few highlights or whatever. Because I did do the election a year and a half ago.
And then I can mention it.
You got one to get right.
Because of hate, it's just.
So you're an expert now.
No, I wouldn't say that. But they, the good thing with municipal affairs is they give you a calendar in their information package, and you have to do certain things by certain dates, and then the only thing that affects me is the date that our paper is out, so I gotta make sure that the timing is, cause everything's gotta be
Yeah, 'cause it's-
necessary 2 weeks, so Nancy and I have sat down and we created our own calendar, and we got the dates ready. I think the first advertising we do is the end of August. The first time we have that. So
That's a
we
long
have one
one,
there
isn't
on
it?
that. Noted, so,
Coming up fairly quick.
yes.
So the training was good?
Yes. We are actually starting to put together a package for upcoming people who are looking at running for municipal office. It'll be just an overlay information of what's expected, committees, structure of the town, so.
Time spent.
No, that's none of that.
To put that in.
So when that's out, then we'll put an ad in the paper that'll be available to be picked up at the front counter. And one thing we didn't put in there is we should put the nomination papers and that in there. So
They're
that-
going to be.
Just got coupons for vitamins and for Addison or I don't know.
So there's an elected officials course that's a requirement now, after the MGA?
And ours is to be held on January 11th and 12th. And I'm working with the group now to secure a venue and a caterer. They figure as many as 150 people.
So we're gonna host it in High
We're
Prairie?
hosting it here in High Prairie, so, and it's gotta be held within 90 days of the election, so. We just make it, we're the last one on their list.
It will be cost effective,
Uh,
cost recovery.
No, the government putting on, and they're charging us for each person, and they recommend all new counselors, old counselors to attend. It's a requirement. You don't have to, but they highly recommend that you attend. So if you are rerunning and get elected, you should mark them 2 days.
Councillor Panasic?
Just changing topics, and we're talking about the MGA, and that's one of those changes that's coming
Yes.
down. Is there anything else that, when you saw the changes, that you'd like to tell us about? I know we've been to a couple of things that have talked about them, but what's coming out of there that's...
I guess the other one is in the planning aspect, where you have to have, I guess it's capital plans, 5-year capital plans, 3-year budget plans coming up, and they all have to be pre-approved, sent into the government, so they know how our spending is going to be, and that was one of the big things. Another one was with the planning for intermunicipal,
IDPs?
development plans with our neighbors and that. I asked them if, say, Big Lakes County, Jessica was there at the meeting, and she was kind of shy to ask the question, so I asked them. They've got 5 First Nations and the 3 Metis settlements, but there's no requirement for them to have plans or whatever, enter in agreements with them, so.
Any other questions? Councillor Gilbert?
Yeah, I love the fact that there's a lot of completed stuff here. I was looking at the benefits package, which I believe it's going to be.
I was in contact with these people this morning, and they are having a long telephone conversation with Anita and I on Thursday morning at 9 o'clock. They have 3 potential people that said the cost savings, but he hasn't put the report together yet, so he's going to do that and give it to us on Thursday morning with Anita and I going over it.
So we will have recommendations for next meeting?
Correct.
Okay, and the other one was what's happening with the Emerge Solutions meeting. We haven't met with them yet. I don't think they met when we had they couldn't meet the other time.
We're waiting on new dates.
Anything else you want to?
Well, what's the other 2 outstanding items? What's going on with them? There's 4 ongoing items. We've covered 2 of them. What's happening with the other 2?
We haven't really talked about what services we can offer our site garbage collection.
Actually, Brian, I did come up with something that I found.
We're getting him a
online
street
that I
light.
can give you
How did you
before I
light
go
it?
on.
Oh,
So I can give you that tomorrow morning.
okay. Pizza delivery, I guess.
I already get that.
Is that what you're talking about, Dave?
That's one of them, and then the other one was this motion by Councillor Tanaka regarding all tax exemptions for owned and rental properties. Bring forward a draft bylaw.
Haven't had a chance to work on that one because of all the other issues that were happening around that same issue. And it affected the wording and everything else, so.
So we'll continue to be ongoing, but we'll hit the list soon? Or?
I hope.
Did you want anything else? On that specifically?
No, but going back to this, we need to have a discussion on what we can do for those annex properties. I think we gotta, when you get that, we can bring it forward and have a discussion and see what we can do and what are the costs, rough costs of running services out to that region and that part.
And some of that will also be impacted. I would suggest holding off on that for the final decision because the new MGA will have some restrictions and some changes that will affect those decisions. Because, for example, right now you can, with industrial and commercial, you can tax it differently. with residential you can't. With the new MGA, you will be able to have different classifications in residential. And so that may impact that, so you may want to wait until the MGA actually gets approved.
So we can tax them more.
Sure.
As long as we can tax the churches, I don't.
Non-operating ones.
Actually, council can tax churches even now.
Really?
We have to look into.
I'm not going for the bait on this one. You know that. I've learned a long time ago not to be a trout. Okay?
Okay, are we happy?
Actually, I was going to ask one more question, and that is there any news on any of the developments you brought before us, the new developments in that, that you are free to share outside of, like, free to share with us today?
There's an issue with the Tim Hortons regarding the power that's located within the property, but I will know more tomorrow, so.
Could we have used ADCO?
Yeah, I'm dealing with Kathy on it, so.
Yeah,
We're,
they want the-
and we're trying to work with the Tim Hortons people, Martin Blair, who owns Next Lot, and ADCO, so.
Okay. Good.
Any more questions? Okay, all in favor of accepting the report for information? Carried. Checklisting.
I could.
Councillor Courtney.
The council received a check listing for council for May 24th to June 13th, 2017 for information.
That was very precise and clear. Good job. Any questions on the checklisting? All those in favor? Award ceremony for the Legion. Councillor Gilroy.
The council approved the attendance of a councillor at the presentation of the Sovereign Medal for volunteers on June 30th, 2017. And the reason I say that is the mayor's on vacation and it starts at 1 o'clock, and I'm already committed as deputy mayor to a 2 o'clock graduation from E.W. Pratt. So it's open to any one of you three, unless you want to tell Donna later or Michael later.
Does anybody want to attend that? Nancy, you had something to say?
As far as I know, there doesn't have to be a speech. They just want somebody to show up.
Sometimes they surprise you. So be prepared.
Be prepared.
That's Friday.
Friday.
I could be around if needed.
Danielle's there.
I could go.
Well, why don't we approve for somebody to go and then we can
And then whoever
discuss
can go,
it. If you can go, that's awesome. If not, we'll have to maybe reach out because I'm probably busy with the event on Saturday. I don't know.
Well, that's some of that planning too.
Yeah.
I'm here on Friday, but as long as it doesn't take too long, right? This would be fairly short.
It only sounds like one presentation, so it shouldn't be too.
Yeah, so, okay, I would attend.
Okay.
I'll commit to that.
Okay. All those in favor? Carried. Reports. We have mayor's report. Do we make a motion to receive it or something? Yeah. Okay, can somebody make a motion to receive the mayor's report for information? Somebody else, can I just do that? I can do that, I'll do it. Make a motion to receive Mayor Linda Cox's written report for information. Everybody's got the report? Everybody read the report?
It's not like we can ask any questions.
All those in favor?
Fingers
Okay.
crossed.
I'll do the same with Councillor Danaka's report. Make a motion to receive it for information. Everybody read it, we're good, we voted. Councillor Gilroy, do you have a verbal report?
I do, and I had the privilege of being at the county barbecue, and that was a really good time. They had a very good turnout. I don't know what the final numbers were for that one. And one of the suggestions that came out of that was that their barbecue was a barbecue. It had FCSS involved. It also had the naming of the awards presentation for the volunteer wall. And one of the suggestions that I heard there, which we may want to pass on to council and or put in for the 2007 next budget deliberations, would be to set aside some money and try and do a separate one for our own people. Maybe cut down the grants by that amount so that we're not adding budget money. Something like that is one that was suggested by some of the people in the community itself. It was great. They gave away trees, which then my wife promptly gave away to doctors, so I didn't get any trees in the end. But it was good. As well, the Northern Alberta elected officials meeting I was supposed to be at was canceled. There were not enough leaders that wanted to go down to Whitecourt. So just to keep you updated, because you had made the motion for me to go. I represented the town at actually at the big barbecue at Pleasant View Lodge yesterday, and that was well attended. So I represented the town on that one, and also I had a foundation meeting today at 5 o'clock. So that's just a couple things I did over the past week, and I'll submit my verbal report for acceptance.
Any questions for Councillor Gilroy? So is there anything that you wanted to report that came out of that, what meeting did you say, community foundation?
Well, actually,
Foundation?
that particular one, it was a very short meeting because it had strictly to do with changing authorization, as one of the main people involved with the foundation, one of the signing officers, is not able to do that due to some health.
So that was the whole meeting, was just
So the meeting
change
was
this-
actually to change
the signing. So it was-
signing officers over. So it was a very short one, but we did talk a little bit about trying to discover how we can continue to lobby for Doctors Lachlan and Edwards. We're trying to figure out ways that, and we're also trying to figure out how to put the punch back in our ability to get new doctors here, because part of that foundation actually has a doctor recruitment and retention aspect to it, and that committee is also trying to figure out how we can have more of an impact when AHS has taken away part of that authority by doing the things themselves. So it's one of those ones where we're trying to get the authority back and see which ways we can help out the existing doctors, especially with the threat of the changeover in doctors.
Sounds like we need a new local authority.
Well,
anyway, we probably shouldn't go there.
we won't go there, but as I said, that's what we're looking at, those kind of ideas. In fact, one of the ideas is that was bandied about is that we're hoping to write a letter to AHS that would address an issue that happened in Ontario. I don't know if, remember, there was a medical student that committed suicide partly because they couldn't find a place to do his practicum, his internship, because unfortunately there are some people who are going through med school that can get all the education, but they can't get into a hospital to do the practicum, and if they don't do that, they can't be a doctor. So we were looking at maybe seeing if there's some way we can convince AHS to allow our hospital maybe to change a little bit so that we can provide experience for these new doctors,
You
just
have
like we
that
do with the RCMP.
Northern Residency Program, right? So they are probably looking at that already.
Except that we're looking at it the Canada-wide one, not just Alberta. And so to be able to bring that over, we're going to see if we can look into as many options as possible to attract the doctors that we need for this community. So I know there's other committees doing it, but that's the update from us.
All those in favor of accepting the report? Carried. Vanessa.
A couple of meetings that I've attended is the Sesky Centennial Committee. We did that.
You have to be able to say it before it's over.
Okay. Canada 150 Committee met. Yeah, and well, that's all moving ahead. And as part of that, went to the museum meeting, as was mentioned in Councillor Danaka's report, and the committee will get involved with the museum and helping a little bit with that event, the time capsule opening that they're hosting. Also, the other thing was the bylaw committee met, and we are now only into our term as reviewing bylaws, yes. So we've come a long ways, still got a long ways to go. But at least we've been, after our next meeting, we'll have been through all of our bylaws, and then we've got recommendations on them all, and we sort of got to go through them, and then we're going to bring back some motions to repeal some of those bylaws and that kind of stuff. But yeah, we're getting there.
Mr. Martinson.
I don't know if council remembers Desiree Currit, the DUT. She was here as an interim administrator during our review. Anyways, she was at the meetings I went to in Grand Prairie, and I was telling her about the committee that was struck, the bylaw review committee, and how far you guys gone along, and the meetings that you've had, and she commended the town quite highly on that. So that was a big thing. She said more municipalities should be going through and reviewing all their bylaws. So
We hired them on. Extra revenue.
Oh, well, we have a system now. We get through it pretty quick. But I mean, it's kind of scary, because once you get through these and you see all of the ones that are still active, and lots of the ones that are still active, they haven't been reviewed in 20, 30, 40 years, and they all have to be reviewed. So this isn't even reviewing any of those. It's just finding out what's actually active and cleaning up what's active and inactive. And then there's that process of reviewing ones on an ongoing basis. So there's a lot of work yet to be done by that committee. So it's needs to keep going with the next council. We have to make sure that that stays going and doesn't get put on the back burner, or not an active committee like it was for years there.
So that committee is just the two of you and Donna, or Michael's?
And Michael, yeah, and Marion from the town.
And Marion, okay.
Yeah.
On the back of whatever we call it.
Yeah.
Any questions for
Yeah, I
council?
move my report for information.
All those in favor? Councillor Court.
I have no report. Thank you.
And actually, I don't really have a report, but I'll just give you guys a little bit of an update on the Canada Day event, because I've been away for a little while. So I didn't have any meetings, official sort of meetings. We've had a couple of meetings that are just small meetings, get-togethers for what's happening on Saturday for Canada Day. And I'm hoping that everybody here knows already all about the event, but I don't see there's a poster out there, so I hope that the town, we can send you guys one to put up, and that the town can put one up on their door, so when people come in that they can see what's kind of going on, because there's a list of the activities and stuff that are going on the event, and that if it can get up on the electronic sign. So if we can get those two things, I think a lot of people know it's in Southeast News Radio is doing a good job of advertising it, and it's been via Facebook, and there's posters throughout the community. I'm just sort of surprised that I don't know if a poster was up or if it was maybe just got stuck somewhere and didn't get put up on the door, but if we can do that, that'd be great. We were hoping to run a ball tournament. We've only got a small amount of teams that are actually registered. It was a family ball tournament. But what we're going to do is anybody who's registered in the ball tournament, we're going to have a small tournament with that with a few teams that are there, and then otherwise it's gonna be a family drop-in ball day. Like you can come to the park, play balls, so any of you guys can spread the word that anybody's welcome to. They don't have to be part of a team already, they can just come with their glove and they're gonna have a couple, all the diamonds are gonna be open. So pretty well it's gonna be activities throughout the day with, starting at 11 o'clock. There's live music, we've got Donnie Cunningham, Kirsten Friesen in their band. They're starting at 11 o'clock. There's gonna be yoga at 12, pound fitness at 1 o'clock, hand games and drummers, traditional drummers at 1 till 3 o'clock. We've got CRC and Marigold that are doing games and activities, and it'll be things like, human Jenga and a big snakes and ladders game, and they've got a lot of outdoor big games for kids, and then craft tables set up. Peavine, I believe, is setting up and donating the use of some equipment, volleyball, badminton, mini golf. They're setting all that up. And then Marigold is going to do a barbecue. The IGA is donating the food for the barbecue, and then the proceeds of the barbecue will be a donation to Marigold. Everything else is free. We're having a cake and a birthday party wind up between 6 and 7 o'clock. The cake is sponsored partially by ADCO. They made a donation and they're giving us some tents as well as partially sponsored by the county. And we're giving away 150 presents. So it's a birthday party with presents at the end of the day. So we're welcoming you all to attend, council and town staff and families. And I think that was it for the party. Nancy, do you have anything that sounds like I missed? Fire department, do we have?
Yeah, that'll be fire department, EMS, and the police on their bikes. They're gonna be there.
Yeah, lots of people.
And in uniform, they're red.
Red Surge?
Yeah,
that'll be good.
Be there. And the farmer's market.
Oh, right, the farmer's market will be there too with Marigold.
Yep.
So those will be the two things that cost. Everything else is free activities for kids, and birthday party cake is free, and it's just paying for their barbecue burger or whatever. So that would be my small report in a nutshell. Any questions?
Do you have the agenda posted anywhere where we can see what time things are happening? Because people have asked me some of those, and I just go, well, it's starting at 11, and I don't, like I've had a couple of people say, when does the yoga start? When does the pound fitness go on?
We just confirmed that today.
Oh, okay.
And I sent a copy of that to the radio station. And I'll give you a copy of that as well, so that'll be posted. We'll post that on Facebook. At this point, that's all we can do.
Yeah.
Right, is the actual list can go on to our Facebook group, but we've been waiting for responses back as to when the hand game people were going to be, like we needed to
those
kind of,
kinds of
so when there's an actual specific event. And the same with like the craft activities, there's 2 different crafts for all different age groups. So one in the morning, specific for younger kids, and then one in the afternoon, specific for younger kids, and then the same one in the, or the early part of the day for older kids, and then the later part of the day. So they've got, you can come at different times, or you can come all day long and you can do 2 different things. Yes, Councillor Gilroy.
I was going to say, could you email each one of us, and that way if someone comes and asks Brian or myself or Arlen that, we can just flip it to somebody else, and that way it adds to the other social media you have?
We'll do that. Any other questions? I move my report for information. All those in favor? So we need to make a motion to go into camera. You guys want to take a camera? Is that it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So take a 5-minute break. We will take a 5-minute recess, and then we'll move to go into camera.